Group decisions. Sometimes you hear the word and you cringe with really goosebumps down the middle of your spine thinking, oh my gosh, because group decisions come out of committees. Just so you know, my world is higher education, and we seldom make a decision on their own. If you do, you're ostracized because of the fact that I wanted to have input because I'm a faculty member. Wait a minute, I am a faculty member. But that being said, it is the nature of some organizations to bring everybody in and have us all, let's have a party and make a decision. And part of it is just political. Part of it is the aspect of if we all decide together, then none of us will get blamed later on. We can all get blamed at the same time and share it. That way it won't hurt as bad. I kid you not. There's a certain psychology in the aspect of what does it mean to have a group decision. Let's look on the advantages and disadvantages, the group think, which is interesting, the characteristics of it, problem solving, and the aspect of more group problem solving techniques, because there's several of them that'll help you. You know what? I'm making fun of group decision making, except here is a scientific fact based upon data. Group decisions tend to be better than individual decisions. Now, there's a couple of things. Let me put aside the book. Want you to focus in on the common sense. If you have a decision to make and you get a group of people into the same room, let's say you have 10 people in the room, there's a couple tricks I want you to pay attention to. Number one, you talk about the problem and keep in mind that trying to get 10 people to all agree that this is the problem, that can be quite a challenge all by itself, and a lot of times that will consume the entire time you've allocated for the group meeting. The other part too is when you go and talk to everybody, if one person in the room doesn't talk, if you're chairing the meeting, you need to say, you know what, I've heard from everybody but you, Alex. You. You probably don't say it that way, except you want to make certain that Alex, or whoever that may be sitting off in the corner that hasn't talked, you want to make certain that they have an opportunity to talk. There's two reasons for this. Now, I'm telling you this based upon long-term experience in the process of group decision-making and as the author of Backboneology, Tough Decisions at Work. Number one, you want to make certain that Alex doesn't have any brilliant ideas, because a lot of time, the quietest person of the group, they just listen and they listen, and since they're never asked, they don't put anything forward. But man, when they have a chance to talk, they just go on, and you may find that Alex is brilliant beyond belief and had something really good to contribute. The second part, pay attention to this one. You do not want to have Alex being able to leave that meeting saying, well, I'm opposed to the decision. Nobody ever asked my opinion. You need to sit down and pay attention to the politics. You don't want to have somebody leaving that room pretending that they're going along with everybody else and just kind of nodding their head a little bit in the corner and then go out and blindside everybody else in the whole group. If that happens, you call them in individually and you have a discussion as to why that happened and when to participate. But except in the meantime, the damage has already been done. Do not give them the opportunity to sit down and backstab the group. That's a big deal. The quality is always better, and a lot of times, by having different perspectives, you will come across something that you never thought about from somebody else in the group. Intellectually, it's really good. The other part is you bring them all in, and then everybody owns it. It's a big thing. Instead of you just marching forward, now you got a whole team that's all lined up. You're moving forward. It's a big thing in group decision making. You want to have a whole team moving forward with the same vision as to how you're going to solve this problem. It gives them all the different logic behind it, and they have this deeper commitment that I had input into it. The disadvantage, and this is just, you only learn it by experience, you will always get somebody, and they go on and on and on and on and on, and they dominate the conversation. You have to learn how to neutralize that and get everybody to talk and participate. Also, sometimes you get this thing called groupthink. Groupthink. Okay, I am now going to do this with everybody else in the room. You're better off having people have discussions, and if somebody disagrees, be quiet and listen to them as to why they disagree. Even if they have a teeny tiny voice, then make their teeny tiny voice listened by getting everybody else to be quiet. Keep the ones that talk and bully everybody else, throttle them down. We've all heard you. Thank you very much for sharing. I want to hear Alex in the corner. And then the goal displacement, sometimes that decision will push everything else aside and nothing else can be decided. Cohesiveness isn't always good. This groupthink thing, it's a matter of everybody's friendly and a tight-knit group, but they can't think outside the box. One time I was in a community leadership board, and it was a pretty powerful group in the Midwest, and we were having a meeting, and we're all sitting there, we're talking about the aspect of work-life balance. We're talking about the wonders of making certain that you have time set aside for yourself. One gal, nobody liked her. Everybody in the whole board, we sat down there and we had Alice. Alice talked. Alice says, why do we have to think this way? And as soon as she talked, everybody rolled their eyeballs, looked at the ceiling, and she said this. All the great people on the earth, the ones that really are at the very top of their profession, anywhere from Beethoven to this mathematician, to this person, they didn't have work-life balance. They were consumed by their every moment to get something done. She used the illustration of Beethoven. Now, just so you know, I'm a fan of classical music, and Beethoven, in my opinion, has written the greatest musical work in the history of all music, called Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. If you have an opportunity to listen to it, it is very powerful, very moving, and incredibly done. When Beethoven wrote it, he was stone deaf. He wrote it on a piano in his house, and he was so consumed by it, the neighbors had to come in once a week, drag him away from the piano, give him a bath, literally, with him kicking and screaming, and feed him food because he was so consumed by that symphony. It was incredible. And finally, once it was all done, and a giant 100-voice choir is singing, he's got an entire symphony from it, and he's directing it, but he can't hear a thing. Somebody had to come up to him and turn him around to see everybody applauding. He could not hear them. It's incredible. He was so consumed by that. And you'll find some of the greatest minds on planet Earth don't have work-life balance because they're so consumed by their task. Well, by the time she was all done, okay, so we had to go back and reconsider. We included that into our presentations about the aspect of work-life balance. We had this, but we also talked about being consumed by your work, and we talked about the trade-off between them and had a much better presentation and a much better reception, and really, frankly, turned out some of the great leaders in the automotive industry. It was incredible. So groupthink can be a failure if you don't listen to everybody. Group decisions, no matter what anybody says, are always less efficient, and they take a long time because everybody's got to be on board. Sometimes they're so on board, they're confident because we made the decision together, and they forgot the people that are actually the ones implementing the decision. Knowledge counts in the process. So a couple things. Sometimes if you vote, listen to this carefully, if you vote, you got a committee of 10. Let's take a vote. And the vote is 7-3. Okay, the majority when we go forward. What did you just do? You excluded 30% of your entire group says, you're wrong. Us 70% are right. It's us versus them. Them. We're right. Them. They're wrong. Voting excludes people. You want to sit down and talk about the aspect of consensus. Don't take a vote. Try to get everybody on board with the concept of, okay, here's everything that we talked about. It really isn't perfect, but at the end, a lot of us like this. Can you all live with this? That's a different thing than agree with. So there's a different concept over there. You want to involve as many people as possible in the discussion, make certain they're on board, and if they don't, avoid the horse trading and everything else. Try to get everything in the aspect of trying to get people on board. Can you live with it? And avoid putting things to vote. It can really be very difficult. Different techniques, brainstorming, we talked about that, where you sit down and you have, here's the problem, let's brainstorm. Nobody criticize anybody's idea. And then you sit down and you have different sticky notes, you put them around the room, and you see and have the person explain why they put that up over there. That really helps a lot of creativity. And then once you're all done, then you find all the different flaws, but do the brainstorming and allow full-blown creativity and ignore all the concepts of cost or time. Devil's advocacy. Every once in a while, if I have a committee just for entertainment purposes, because I appoint a devil's advocate. You're the devil's advocate. And your job is to be obnoxious on every single technique, every single decision we make. And some people are really good at it, that they like it, and you think they might be the devil themselves. I don't know. But the reality of the devil's advocacy, it's a tool to use to challenge. If you think there's too much group thinking going on, have them point out the flaws, and then next meeting have somebody else do it. It is healthy for the group. The dialectic method, and then the project postmortems. Once you have the aspect of the project is over with, bring everybody back in and have an after action report, an AAR. That is actually done by the military on a regular basis. It should be done also by any kind of a good leadership in the aspect of bringing project postmortems as you all talk about it. Here's a devil's advocate and a dialectic method side by side. Take a look at that. Group decisions are high quality, but always take longer. Beware of the groupthink, challenge the groups, listen to each other, have a devil's advocate, whatever it takes, but make certain that you're listening and everybody has a chance to have input. It'll make the quality of decision much higher, get a lot of buy-in, and decisions carry much further when everybody's involved and owns that decision. Take care.